to the governor's mansion now, where 1011 was the only media outlet posted up outside as state lawmakers, along with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, came together for a conversation regarding winner take all. In that closed-door meeting, we're told Graham was trying to drum up support to change the way Nebraska hands out its electoral college votes.
Hold up. What was a Republican senator from South Carolina doing in Nebraska yesterday? Missing votes in the U.S. Senate to speak with the Nebraska state legislature about how their state allocates its electoral college votes. Well, to understand, you have to zoom out a little bit. Almost every state in the country uses a winner-takes-all system to distribute its electoral votes. If you win California, you get all of California's electoral votes. If you win Texas, you get all of Texas's electoral votes. The two exceptions to that are the states of Maine and Nebraska. They split their electoral votes. For example, in 2020, Donald Trump won most of Nebraska, but Joe Biden still walked away with one electoral vote from the state. And Joe Biden won most of Maine, but Donald Trump still got one of that state's electoral votes. Cut to 2024, and this election is so close, it is so close that those single electoral votes could be the margin that decides the whole race.
If she were to hold those three states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, there you go. You see it. She's at exactly 270 electoral votes. This would also require her, by the way, to hang on to that one congressional district around Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, so now Maine is a reliably blue state and Nebraska is a reliably red state. So historically, the two states have balanced each other out. You get one from here, you get one from here. But it seems like South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham wants to change that. He wants the red state of Nebraska to become winner take all. And if he gets what he wants, then Donald Trump would have an edge that would come too late for the state of Maine to do anything about. For the state of Maine, for example, to change the way it allocates its electoral votes and make that winner take all. Why is it too late? It is too late because yesterday was not just any random Wednesday. Yesterday was 90 days until December 17th, which is the day that all of Maine's electors cast their electoral votes. That is when Maine's electoral college votes are actually locked in. And in Maine, a bill only becomes a law 90 days after it's passed, unless the bill gets a 2/3 vote in both state chambers, and Democrats in the state just don't have the votes to do that. So they have to abide by this deadline, 90 days. So if Mainers want to make any changes to their electoral vote allocation, they have to do so by yesterday, which is 90 days till December 17th, the day they certify those electoral votes. So Lindsey Graham and his Republican friends in Nebraska are essentially trying to pull a fast one here, to change the rules of the electoral count in Nebraska in a way that will benefit Trump, and to do so just late enough that Democrats in Maine can't respond by leveling the playing field. If this is all ringing a faint and distant bell to you, it might be because of what Lindsey Graham did in the year 2020. Before Donald Trump's infamous call telling Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find him 12,000 votes to flip the results of the election, before that, it was South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham calling up the Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, pressuring him to toss certain mail-in ballots that would give Donald Trump an edge. Now, Brad Raffensperger did not bend to either Trump or Graham's attempts, but there is a pattern here. Am I right? Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham traveling the country, trying to make our elections less democratic. Lindsey Graham knows that it is almost without question that Vice President Harris will win the popular vote in November. And he knows that despite all of the advantages the Electoral College gives Donald Trump, that this race could very well be decided by just a handful of Electoral College votes. But rather than trying to actually convince people why they should vote for Donald Trump, Lindsey Graham is trying to disenfranchise them.
What was your argument, though, about the idea of having Nebraska be a winner-takes-all?
I think Nebraska should not be the state that gives her the presidency.